Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Capital A Trading. Welcome to another episode of my Forex Weekly. For those of you who don't know, just quickly, I'm going to go through the top 10 investment opportunities for the week, show you them, show you what I'm going to do to them, show you the key areas to watch, and of course, let's see how we're going to tackle them throughout the week. So if that sounds good to you, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. A lot of exciting content coming in this next quarter. Of course, if you want to learn more, if you want to take your trading skills further, check out my website, www.capitalatrading.co.uk. Tons more to learn on there. With that being said, let's get straight into the charts, and of course, let's check out the fundamentals for the week.
Okay, as always, it's just important to check that news out, see where there's going to be some impact in the charts. What I like to do is kind of pick a currency, focus on that for the day, see if it's going to gain some strength. So Monday, main focus is going to be around the pound. There's going to be a lot of news just before that London Open. In the evening, I'll switch it towards the US dollar just to see what impact this speech may have. Tuesday, very similar. It'll be on the pound, focusing on that around the London Open. And then again, around the New York Open, just a little switch over to the US dollar. Wednesday, the focus will go to the New Zealand dollar. They've got their interest rate decision being announced at 3 a.m. These are the types of news that usually cause the biggest impact. So just be looking to see some sort of signs of strength around the New Zealand dollar. And of course, again, London Open, New York Open, there will be some focus around the pound and the US dollar. That afternoon, it will be the Canadian dollar's interest rate decision, 3 o'clock. That will be pretty much something you need to see where they're going to possibly gain some strength in the Canadian dollar. So let that news go. Let's see where the strength's going to go from that moment. Thursday, it will be around the euro. They've got their interest rate decision 15 minutes before the New York Open. So again, something like the Euro USD would be good to focus on around that time. There will be no news on Friday as it's Good Friday. So most of the moves this week, you want to be out before then. That's when the market makers are not around. They're on their holidays. So again, not expecting too much impact in the charts on Friday. So with that, let's get into it. Slightly different from how we usually start these videos. What I'm going to do is a quick review of a couple of the trades from last week, starting off with the NZD Swiss Franc, and then we can see how it's played out, obviously, a week later. Picture started to show a sign of struggling and then started to make a 100 pip push to the downside. So as I'm just breaking down the time frames now, this is the scenario that I believe price will come and interact with again this week. As you can see, it's already played off the foot for my students who would know. So it's come to the base of this candle here and started to show signs of struggling around the 64,700, and then it made that 100 pip push to the downside. This week, all I want to see is price get back up inside the body, hopefully around the 65 level, 64,800, and again, start to show them signs of struggling. So this was here for around 20 hours, 24 hours, and then started to make its movement. So again, be patient, let price get back up to there. A Swiss franc is a safe haven currency. So again, we can expect to see that start to gain some strength later on in the week. So let's just see that 64,800 to the 65, look for the signs of struggle, and then hopefully long term, I believe it wants to get back towards the 60 level, below this area here, where there's going to be loads of liquidity, loads of stop losses, loads of reason for the market makers to bring them. Okay, so as you can see now, this is how it's played out from that area, a little before and after. So here's the after. It got up to the 65 level. It showed that sign of struggling right at the mark. It was basically the market makers creating their contract. And now, as you can see, by the end of the week, it's made a monstrous move to the downside. I mentioned the 60 level, the target. So what I'm basically going to be looking out for this week is to continue seeing this strong push to the downside. I want to see price get back up maybe towards this 64,400, 64,300 level, and just see if it's going to continue with that charge to the downside. But again, I'm just showing you the power of the relevance of keeping an eye on these videos, keeping an eye on the movements throughout the week. Let's take a look at what was said on the CAD Swiss Franc last week. And then, of course, afterwards, I'll give you a quick review. 50 pip to the downside. So I know that that level's been manipulated. I know that something will have to happen around there again. As I break the time frames down, it's that similar picture where the market makers have come in, created their contract, pushed price to the downside, came back, retested the level right in the middle, and now they're starting to push to the downside. So what I'm going to be looking at this week is around the 74,600 to the 75. I just want to see price get back up towards there and show the similar picture. Hopefully then we can start to see price push back towards that 73 level. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the CAD Swiss Franc. That's going to be number. Okay, so again, I was mentioning that area, mentioning that level. As you can see, around the 74,600 to the 75, price has come into it again and started to make a move to the downside. So regarding this week, all I want to see is price pretty much stick at this level, start to show the same signs of struggle, and hopefully push away with more vengeance, push away a lot further closer to that 73 level. Keep an eye on that one this week. It's going to be the CAD Swiss Franc. Last one from the review section. It's going to be the NZDUSD. I've been mentioning this for the last couple of weeks. Let's take a look at what was said last week. I want to see price get there, show a similar sign of struggling. And then I believe with this week, with the US dollar news as well, we can start to really see this push. Now, target-wise, at least back towards here, around the 67,600. So again, a nice 140, 150 pip move to the downside if it pulls off. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be number 2. That's going to be NZD. Okay, let's see how that's played out through this week. Now, as you can see, price has come back to that level again. I wanted to see a similar sign of struggle. It gave me that on Tuesday. For the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it started to make that push to the downside towards the target level around that 67,600, 67,500. And now we've already had a 150 pip move from the area. So basically this week, all I would suggest is keeping an eye out to see price push back up a little bit towards the 69, maybe the 69,400. Give it a bit of space to breathe again. And then hopefully we can continue to see that push to the downside. Again, I just wanted to start the video like this week to show you how the moves play out, how you've got to be patient. I've been mentioning this one here for around 3 weeks, and only now we're really starting to see the progression to the downside. Keep an eye on that this week. It's going to be the NZD USD. Okay, so away from the currencies for a bit, we're going to go through the UK 100, US30, and gold. Now this is a trade that's failed for me last week. I had a position here. Price has continued to rise. It's wiped me out. So again, I just wanted to keep it real with you, show you that trades fell too. So regarding this one, I'm not going to really focus on it too much this week now. I do believe that it may raid this area for liquidity and then start to make the move to the downside. There's going to be tons of stop losses, tons of money up here. But for me, it's not going to be my main focus. Just updating that one. That one's kind of off the cards now. Next up is going to be the US30. Now, again, I mentioned this last week on my video. I like the way that it's starting to create a bearish trend here on the daily. That looks like to me that a contract's being made right there on that area. So that is literally last week's price action. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday started to drop. Thursday, Friday, come back towards the retest of the area. So I will just keep an eye on that 3,500 mark to the 35,400. I do believe eventually within the next month or so, you will start to see price down here towards the 32, maybe towards the 32,400, 32,800 level. So keep an eye on this one, the US30. Let's just see how it plays out this week. There's going to be a lot of US dollar news, which may fuel it to the downside. Keep an eye on that one. That's the US30. Last but not least in this section is gold. Now, what we've got here is, I've been mentioning the 2,000 mark. Price has just been struggling below it for a little while now, around 2 weeks. And I'm expecting at some point for it to get up into there and kind of create that picture, what I've drawn here. Price gets up towards the 2,000 mark. I'm not interested in a trade right there. I want to see that the area I'm talking about is going to hold weight. It's actually going to push the way that I want to see it go. So if it does start to move down to here, this is where I'll come alive. If it starts to retest the area and show them similar signs of struggling, that is what the contract is. That's what it looks like when the market makers place a contract into the market. So keep an eye on that 2,000 level. I do believe it's going to hold a massive relevance, and that's gold. What I'm going to do now is just bring you like my top 5 to look out for the week. First up is going to be the pound Swiss franc. Now, recently we've had a lot of success on this chart here. There was a lovely move around the 126 level. As you can see, it struggled for days before eventually making a monstrous move to the downside. What I can see here is something very similar going on around the 123 level. As I start to break down the time frames, this is the area that I'm very keen on. It looks like the contract's being made right on that 123 level. So what I'd suggest is just to keep an eye out around the 122,600 to that 123 mark. What I want to see is price just get back up there this week, start to show that similar sign Something like this where I want to see on a 4-hour time frame a lot of struggle, and then hopefully we can get a position and it will be holding towards at least, hopefully, back towards the 12500 to the 121 level. So again, a nice range, a nice 200 pip move that possibly could be on. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the pound Swiss franc. Okay, as always, this is my baby, the euro pound. This is what I focus on the most. Lots of success from the back end of last year, and it's just literally been trending downwards. So what I'm looking at this week is finally now the 85 area has been and gone. It's gone up there, hit that area, took the liquidity out, taken out all the stop losses that would have been up there. That's what the pound signs are signaling. And then it starts to make its move to the downside. I do believe we are long term going to eventually be back at this 82 level here. If I just come down the time frames again, what I want to see this week is I don't think it will get all the way back up towards the 85. So I'm going to keep an eye on the 84 to the 84 200. There was a lot of price stalling at that area, and I just want to see if it's going to interact with this level and then continue with this bearish trend. Of course, there's some pound news. There's a euro interest rate decision as well. So that's going to be the main thing that I look out for. If the euro gains crazy strength at that time, then this trade will become very invalidated very quickly to me. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the euro pound. Next up is going to be the NZD CAD. Now, again, straight away, it's worth noting that they've both got big news this week that could really impact the strength either way. A couple of weeks back, about a month ago now, I mentioned the sell from the 88 mark, and we've now had a nice push to the downside, and it's obviously made a 200 pip movement, and it's now back at the 86. I did something recently on the USD Swiss franc where I kept an open mind, which we're going to see in a minute, and I just kind of wanted to see which way is it going to move. I had a buy position, I had a sell position. So what I'm talking about here is I'm looking at this area here around the 85,400 to the 85,600. And if the New Zealand dollar's interest rate decision is going to cause a crazy amount of strength for the New Zealand dollar, then I'll be looking to see price just struggle at this level and then start to make its movement to the upside. I won't be looking for that for too long because the CAD news is later on in the week, and then it will be the sell from there. So if the first part goes well, I'll let that play out, and I might think about taking a position for the sell around the 87 to the 87,200 mark, as long as it's in line with that Canadian dollar news. Keep an eye on this one. Keep an open mind. Let's look to see which area is going to get interacted with. And of course, if you can get a position, even better. That's the NZD CAD. So now my top two focuses for the week. So this one, the USD JPY, was mentioned last week. I mentioned that 124 to the 124,500 mark. All we've had is price push towards it from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Price has just pushed, and now it's sitting there. Funny enough, finished up on Friday night in the level that I was speaking about. So what I want to see is the push just start off early on in the week. I want to see the yen gain some strength. There is some minor news for the yen. So again, I'm not expecting too much. There is a lot of news on the US dollar. So if the US dollar does gain a lot of strength, this area will get wiped out. So again, Monday, Tuesday, I'll be keeping an eye on this area, just looking to see if that starts to progress away. If it retests, I'll be happy, get a position. Target wise, back towards the 120 level. So again, a nice 400 to 450 pip move. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the USD JPY. Okay, last but not least, this is going to be my main focus for the week. Again, the USD Swiss franc last week mentioned a buy push from that 92 mark. We've had that, and now it's back towards the 94, and it's showing similar signs of struggling again. It's really a battle between which way price is going to break through. Is it going to be the buy that's successful and pushes up here, or is it going to be the sell that's successful and pushes all the way down here? I'm going to keep an eye on that sell. I did mention the 93,600, 93,500 mark. And what we've had on Friday, weirdly enough, again, is price go up, hit the level, and show a sign of struggling, immediately absorbing back towards this 93,400 mark. So as I break down the time frames, all I'm looking to see is price. Literally, this is what it's interacting with here. So I just want to see if it's going to get into the 93,800, 93,500. I'm giving it a bit of space to breathe. If I can see price struggling there, I'll be happy to get a sell position on, and hopefully around maybe 2 weeks it may take, push back towards that area, the 92 mark. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the USD Swiss franc.
Okay guys, so that's all from me this week. Again, my advice, keep an eye on 3 or 4 of the opportunities, keep track of them, see how they develop throughout the week. Of course, I've got my Discord channel where I'm going to be updating daily on what I think is happening. So if you haven't got access to that, send me an email right now to capitalatrading@hotmail.com, request a link, and I'll be happy to send it back for you. Of course, if you want to take your trading skills further, check out my website. That's www.capitalatrading.co.uk. Thanks for watching. Have a great trading week.